Hi Programming Nation members, welcome to another session of HTML5 programming. In this session I'll be introducing to you HTML5 game development. Uh, I have created a very simple and easy game for you all to follow and perhaps learn from it at the comfort of your own space and at your own pace. I've also included comment entries wherever possible in the code so that you understand the code better. So let's start this journey and have fun. See you. Once again, welcome to HTML5 game development. This is Foad. Previously, we covered a few topics in HTML programming, HTML5 programming, which was introduction to HTML5 and JavaScript. We also learned about HTML5 and JavaScript elements, at least some of them. And then we went through dynamic HTML and cascading style sheets. And the last thing that we covered was event handling. So all these knowledge that was given last time, some of them would be useful for this course. Finally, you should know that to do HTML5 game development, we need some software and some source files. Two such softwares are Phaser, which is a game development framework for desktop computers and mobile devices. You can download it from phaser.io, or you can just come by my office and get it, because you have to come and get all the source files from me anyhow. Another software we'll be using is Brackets, which is a text editor. You can download it, or you can come and collect it from my office. If you cannot come, send a representative to come by my office and collect the software as well as the source file of the project. Once you have the source file in your possession, you can follow this video along with the source file so that you can understand the coding of the game development. This is the source file that I'm talking about. It consists of a project called Foad game. Okay, and I've developed this project consisting of files and folders. I've got 4 folders consisting of a fonts, library, pics, and sounds. The fonts folder consists of font file and a font picture. I have a library file folder. I've got a pics folder consisting of all the pictures that we're going to use in this project. If you observe, inside the pictures folder, I've got a sprite sheets, which consists of a group of characters, a group of ants and a group of soccer balls, which we're going to use in the game. And I also have a loading bar plus other characters. I also have a sounds folder, which will help us generate sound for our game, an explosion sound, a choose sound to choose something, and a killing sound when we kill an ant or something. Now if we go to the Foad game project, we will see that we have got many other files. Chief among them is the index file, which is your main file, main HTML file. But besides that, we have got some JavaScript files, boot, game, preloader, start menu. These are the main files which we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at the code and trying to understand it. Besides this, there is also a small ant PNG file, which is used as an icon for our game. Now inside our Phaser software, Phaser 2.3.0, there are three main files that we need to copy and paste inside our library. So let's do that. Let's go to Phaser, navigate to the Build menu. In the Build menu, you will see three files, phaser.js, phaser.map, and phaser.min.js. So copy these three files and paste it inside your library. Once you put it in your library, you're ready to go. Besides the Phaser software, we also have the bracket software, which you have to install in your system. Next, what I do is I open the brackets software, which is right over here. I go to my Foad game project folder and click and drag the entire thing into this bar in brackets. Once I do that, I will have my Foad game folder along with all the subfolders and files automatically inside brackets. This would be very easy for coding and navigating from one file to another file. Another interesting feature of brackets is this lightning icon. Once you click on it, you will see the Chrome browser opening with your game running, your actual game running. Now I have developed a very simple rudimentary game. This is for demonstrating game development. I've been programming for the past 2 days and just haven't spent too much time on graphics, as you will see, because the main objective is to teach you how to do simple HTML5 game development. So let's see the program. Now this opens the Chrome browser, as I told you. It's loading my game. There. I have named the game Soccer the Ants. I shouldn't have named it Soccer the Ants. Rather, I should have named it Save the Ants. Because the objective of this game is to save these ants who are walking on the floor from the onslaught of these soccer balls. So how do you save them? By destroying these balls. You just click on them and destroy them. Like I said, a simple rudimentary game. So let's go in and try it out. Begin the game. So you destroy these balls one by one and create a fireball which has a emitter. If you scroll down, you can see these ants right over here. Now if I don't kill the balls, my ants would eventually die and the game is over. And then we click on any button and you can go back to the starting menu. So that's the game. The first file that we'll be looking at is index.html file. This would be the first file that would be opened. Now if you see here, we have got the regular HTML tags that we have already studied. The first two tags that you see over here are for mobile development of this game. The next one is going to show you an icon of this small ant picture. So if you hover over it, you can see this picture, and you've got a title icon. So title tag, which shows you the title and the picture. So when you run the Chrome browser, you can see right over here the title and the icon. We also see that we are including the script source library, phaser.js boot.js, which is important library for compiling all our game functions. We need phaser.js. Besides that, I'm creating four uh, user-defined JavaScript files: boot.js, preloader.js, startmenu.js, and game.js. You can see them right over here. I've already coded them, and you can have a look at it when you take my source files. I also have a cascading style sheet consisting of padding 0, margin 0, and a background color of black. Yeah, if you hover over it, it shows you the color. And in the div ID, I have created a ID game container, and I use this ID in my JavaScript Windows onload function. I give a size to my game and use the instance phaser.auto, which automatically selects the best suited option for the game. And I also create 4 states of the game: boot state, preloader state, start menu, and the game state. All these 4 states would be defined in these 4 files. And if you look at the last line, game.state.start boot, that means it will start with the boot.js file. Okay, so let's go to this file and have a look at it. Here is our boot.js file. In the beginning, what I do is I create a variable for game, and next what I do is in this line right over here, we pass in the function of our game object. Now this is the same game object that we created in index.html. Here we define our boot state on Foad game, and the next step right over here, what we do is the boot file is going to have a prototype consisting of 2 functions, event functions: a preload function and a create function. In the preload function, what we are doing is we are creating 2 identifiers: preloader bar and title image. Title image, preloader bar. And both of these are identifiers associated with the following file. The first one is pics loading bar, which is the loading bar picture, and the second one is pics main image.png, which shows you this. Now in the create function, what we do, the first line, this.input.max pointer, it shows us that we have got only one pointer. That's a mouse pointer if you're using a desktop computer, or a finger if you're using a mobile device. And right over here, this.stage.disable visibility change is equal to false. This will enable the game to pause when it is not active. For example, now it isn't active, it's paused. Observe, I play the game, and if I select another window, the game should pause. I play the game. Now I select another window, and observe the game has paused. Once I select another window, the game pauses. And if I want to come back to the game, I just go back here and click anywhere, and the game resumes. Continuing with our boot.js file, next what we have is this code which tells us to show all our elements on the stage, show everything on the stage with a minimum width and minimum height. Then what we do is we center our game in these two lines by using these two attributes, page aligned horizontally and page aligned vertically. Next, we force our game to be in a portrait mode. We force the screen size, true, and we will add a pointer to our input object. This corresponds to the same mouse pointer and finger pointer that we had given earlier. And we give a stage background color to blue. If you hover here, you can see the blue, dark blue color. And last, what we do is we pass the state to another file, which is the preloader file, right over here. So we open the preloader file, which goes to the preloader.gis. Now in the preloader JavaScript file, we preload all our assets that we are going to use in the game. Please forgive me, I'm suffering from a cold. My voice isn't exactly how it is. So over here, what we are doing, we are declaring Foad game preloader and setting it equal to our function. And once again, we are passing the game object. Inside Foad game preloader, what we are doing is we are creating a number of different things like preload bar, title text, and the ready property. In the Foad game preloader prototype, just like before, we have got three functions: preload function, create function, and update function. We should remember that the create function runs only once. On the other hand, the update function is regularly executed, constantly executed. Now, starting with the preload function, first, in these two lines, referring to the preload object we created before, we are adding a preload bar object as a sprite, which crops the image and puts it in the middle. Next, what we do here is assign a sprite to our preloader mechanism. In these two lines, we center the title text using the identifier we created before. And right over here, we load an image. This is the image of the first screen. If I hover over here, you can see the image. Then we load the image of our fonts and the fonts that we created before. Yes, this is the picture of my fonts in the font folder right over here in the fonts. And here I load the image of a sky, a blue image representing a sky, and here image of the ground, which is green grass. Next, I load the image of my sprite sheet which I had created. This is the sprite sheet for the ants, showing a group of ants, and this is a sprite sheet for my soccer balls, showing a group of soccer balls. Yes. And here is the image of the blast which I'm loading. And the last three files over here are the sound files. In the create function, this.preloader.crop enable is equal to false. We don't crop the image. And in the update function, we make our game ready to run. And in the last state, what we do, we start the start menu JavaScript file. That's where the next control goes to. It goes to startmenu.js. So we are here in the start menu.js. Inside here, again, we are passing the game object to Foad game.startMenu. Consists of three entities in here: start BG, start prompt, and choice sound, which we are going to use in Foad game.startMenu.prototype. This consists of, again, create function and begin game function. Now, if you observe, create function is a function which is a system function, and begin game is a user-defined function which I create myself. If you look at the create function, uh, we're giving a value to the choice sound, which is the choose identifier, which is an audio clip. The start BG is going to be associated with the first screen. Uh, this is the X and Y coordinates of that image. Uh, the start BG input enable, that means can be selected, can be used by a mouse or a finger, is true. Uh, and then start bg.input events.on input down add once. Uh, this enables us to select it with a mouse uh, click or a finger touch, and once we do that, it will pass the input to the begin game function, which is right over here, the begin game function. So the input is passed to this pointer. But before that, the start prompt, what does it do? It creates a bitmap text using our Foad font, which is in the fonts folder, and shows begin the game using size 20. Now in the begin game function, what we do is we play the choose sound, and next what we do is we pass the state to the game.js file. So right from here, it goes to the game.javascript file, which is the actual place where our game comes alive. Now in the game.js file, initially what we do in the for.game function, we pass the game object as usual, and right here we create some variables. We have total ants, a counter for generating number of ants, an ant group, grouping mechanism to control the ants. We do the same thing for the balls, total balls, a counter for generating number of balls, and a ball group to control the balls. Besides that, we have got a WAM uh, variable for emitting blasts, an end of game variable, over message variable, and three variables down here: kill, booms, and choose, which generate audio clips. Now in Foad game.prototype, we start with the create function again. Over here in the beginning, what I say is end of game is equal to false. I can change it to true whenever I want to stop the game. Total ants is initialized to 3, that is 3 group sets of ants, and total balls is 4. Now if I want to make the game difficult, I can increase this to, let's say, 20. Now it will be much more difficult for the user to kill all these balls. Uh, if I want to make the game easy, all I have to do is increase the total ants number. Here what we do is we generate the audio files, and next we call the create background function. In the create background function, we create our background of the game world, which consists of a top, which is a blue sky, and a bottom, which is a green grass. Following that, we call these functions one by one: build ants, build soccer balls, and build web. All of these functions will be using these variables. Next, what we have is the build ants function. In this function, we create a new ant group, and we enable this group to interact with other objects. And then we use a loop. If you see over here, we use a loop to build the individual ants and add them to the group. We do the same thing if you observe with the balls. Over here, what we do is we create a new ball group, and we use a for loop to generate the balls one by one. Now, the ants are basically stationary, but we can make them move by using the ant movement function right over here. We generate a random number where the ants will move, uh, and there is a move delay right over here between 2 seconds and 6 seconds. Um, Using this if and else construct uh, right over here, we can make the ants change direction, and then we use a tween movement of phasor to make the actual ants move from one location to another location. Uh, we use the start ant and stop ant functions to achieve this, which is right over here, okay, to generate these ant movements. Now, have you ever wondered these balls that are generated, the four balls, four group of balls, what happens to them once they leave the stage? They just go away. What should we do so that these four balls keep entering the stage? It's very simple. We reset the balls by using the reset ball functions. Uh, it's very simple. In this if construct, what I do is I check to see the y position of the ball is greater than the stage height. And if it's true, then we call a new function, which is new balls, and we pass the r value. In the new balls, what I do is I reset the x and y position of the balls. So the four balls that leave the stage will re-enter the stage all over again and appear as new balls, which is pretty amazing. Next, in the build RAM function, we control the emitter particles. Over here, we give AT emitter particles will be generated. Here we say the size of these particles, and over here we control the minimum particle speed and maximum particle speed. Over here we mention the picture that is to be generated of the explosion, and over here we say that what happens when the person presses on the mouse button or touches the smartphone screen with the hand. It will call the boom boom function and will pass the input to boom boom function. And in the boom boom function, if you observe, first we play the audio, a boom audio, and we control the volume. We mention the emitter position, and we mentioned that out of this 80 which we have given amount of particles, only 20 will be generated. In the collide ant function right over here, we say what happens when one of the soccer balls hits the ants. First we play kill audio, and then we pass control to the new balls so that new balls keep on generating, and then we use the kill mechanism of phasor. What does this do is remove an ant group and decrements their numbers right over here. We say total ants minus minus, so the ant group is decremented by 1, and then we call the ants left function. In the ants left function, we have an if construct which says if total ants is less than or equal to 0, that means if there are no ants, then the end of game variable is equal to true. Remember, this variable was false initially. Now we make it true. And once it's true, uh, the over message generates game over, and control is passed to game over function. And in the game over function, what we do is we pass control back to our start menu so that the user may want to start the game again. The next step you have to take is to convert your HTML5 game into an actual app which would work inside your smartphones. Now, you have got two technologies you can use. One is PhoneGap, the other one is Cocoon.js. These are online, and you have to go and create an account for them. And then you can experiment and convert your HTML5 game into apps. This brings us to the end of this session. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to come by my office and ask me pertaining to the code, especially the parts that I haven't explained. And also, you can email me to ask me any questions. Thank you very much.